Good afternoon, buenas tardes,
Buenas tardes, nice to meet you.
and welcome to the Greatest Transformation Conversations.
Okay.
We are today in Medellín, a city that once meant fear and violence, and today is studied around the world as a model of change. I'm Florin Negruțiu, I'm a journalist, and my guests today are Sergio Fajardo,
Okay, good.
the man who helped lead the city through one of the most spectacular and surprising transformations across the globe. And George Leca, he's a strategist who has worked with governments and leaders across Europe and beyond.
Happy
Together, we talk about leadership, trust, and how a city once known for crime became a global example of reinvention.
Good. Thank you very much.
Sergio, I have to start with a personal question.
Okay.
Have you ever been afraid in all these years?
No. No, I have never been afraid. And it's a normal question, but not because I am Superman and I am saying I'm strong and I don't fear anyone because I am a really brave man. No. But I assume that you're talking about politics and the way living
About
in the city of Medellín.
Public,
Life.
public function.
Okay, no. I learned to do politics walking the streets of my city, Medellin. And I began into politics in the year 2000. I didn't belong to this world. I am, but I was an acting mathematician. I was a full professor at the Universidad de los Andes in Bogota and the National University in Bogota as a mathematician. And I changed life and I came to here, I came back to Medellin. We built a civic movement, and the way we did politics was very different from what traditionally is done. We walk the streets. We have people from social uh, organizations, NGOs, the academic world, which is my original world, the cultural world, the entrepreneurship world. And the way we did was walking throughout Medellin. So I had always around me, whenever I went to a place, I went with people from the community. In all communities, people know everyone. In the communities, even those with bad reputation, there are persons who are respected. And I have always friends like that. So I walk around and I never felt afraid. Never. Never in my life.
So you opened to themselves, to them,
Yeah.
and they received this openness.
As a way of being a decent person.
Because the crime was on the streets in the first
There were.
years.
There were, but you see, this is something difficult to explain, but I'll try. As I say, any community here in Colombia or in Romania, people, they're leaders and everyone knows what's going around. You don't have to bring someone from KGB so that to understand. Everyone knows. In all communities, there are positive leaders, people that are respected from everyone, regardless of what the other people do. There are some authority associated with communities. And I had the opportunity to work with many of them. So if I was with them, people say, this guy will respect. And that's the way I was building respect from everyone, understanding. But moreover, we went there just to listen, which is strange in politics because the politician goes there looking for votes. We went there listening to people, understanding what was going on in the community. We didn't have a platform and I'm a politician giving speeches to the people. No, I learned something different.
Yeah, you were scanning the
Right.
community to see the problems of the community and to address them. This city has a long history of violence. Actually, I remember that Medellin was called the most dangerous city in the world.
Painfully, yes.
Yes, my mother told me after she found out that I'm coming here, don't go there, you'll be kidnapped. And this is 2026.
Say hello to your mother and tell her next time you bring her here and tell her nothing is going to happen to her.
Well, I have to ask you this. Do you think the violence, and it was a huge amount of violence, of crimes here, is somehow natural because people are fundamentally bad, or violence is socially generated?
I don't think it's natural. We are not in Colombia, in Medellin. We don't have violence because that's our nature, genetically violent. No. This was something social that happened in here in Medellin. Medellin is the second city in Colombia. Medellin is the capital of Antioquia, the state. And people from Medellin are known as to be very proud from being from Medellin. And it's a city, as you can see, that has plenty of many things very attractive. The city of Medellin is integrated by people with plenty of energy, charming. If you go to the street, people are friendly and they like to joke and they are happy to see you here. But there was a moment in history where there was a group of young people who were not finding an answer to their needs in the city, and came a particular man whose name was Pablo Escobar. And this is the last time that I mention, because I never like to mention his name.
He's your Dracula. I'm from Romania.
Okay.
I know how a reputation of the country or a city is built.
Okay,
So
that's right.
Pablo Escobar is your Dracula.
I'm going to incorporate that in my language and say Pablo Escobar is our Dracula.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, our Dracula. No more Draculas here in this conversation. And then he came out of the blue because he found with other people a business which was taking drugs to the United States. And then he came with money that you cannot imagine. And he built an empire, which was the Medellin cartel, built on the amount of money that he would get out of the minds of anyone here, of course, associated with crime. And you know that world has the brute force as a condition to be able to strive in that business, if you have to call that business, death, power, no restrictions. And many young people here who were not having an opportunity, they found with him a possibility. And that changed this city, and that changed Colombia, that changed the continent. Medellin was, and I feel bad when I say this, Medellin was the most violent city in the world in the year 1991. Medellin had 375 homicides per 100,000 inhabitants. And I'm not making a mistake. It's something out of bounds. You cannot imagine what that means.
How is today? The crime rate.
The crime rate is around 10 today. Now, things change. The narco traffic world has changed. The drug traffic has changed. There are the Mexican cartels. There are many things happening around. It's not the same thing as 1980 when it began, just to give an initial date. And the crime world is working very different now. They are not using violence as they used to use before. So, but Medellin has improved a lot. That's why you're here talking to me.
Yeah, we will talk about what you did for the city, but I want to ask you, George, because you are here with a group of Romanian and US leaders. And I will use a line from Casablanca, the movie.
Okay.
Of all the cities, of all over the world, you chose Medellin. Why is that?
Well, I'm here with a group of entrepreneurs, Romanian entrepreneurs. And the reason we came to the city is because I came here on holiday, and I was impressed by the incremental progress. So many times we are actually saying, okay, if you're not the first, if you don't win this or that, it doesn't really matter. And we apply this to our kids as well. We say, okay, you're not a 10th grade, you know, so you're not good. You did not win the Olympics, but it's incremental progress that matters. And it's the things that actually allow people, as Sergio was saying, to escape their conditions, okay, and to without going through the illegal door. So this is what was really impressing for me. And I liked very much what you said about respect by association, working with the leaders. And this is what's happening all around Medellin even now. So that was so impressive for me. And I wanted to learn more about how the environment changes people, because it's the environment. It's very difficult to change the people one by one in one-to-one conversations, but people are the product of their environment. Hence your question about the social condition of conditioning violence. So this is what I wanted to see. Okay, how the environment changes people. So if you change and work on the environment in a city or in an organization, you're going to change the people.
There's one thing that I learned these days is something you implemented here. You said once that best architecture should follow the poorest people. What's the philosophy behind this?
Yeah. In Medellin, I talk a little about Medellin, and I tell you why we came to architecture. Social urbanism, that's the expression that we have been known around the world. In Medellin, we had this violence, and when you have a society which lives with fear for a long time, then the society segregates. Everyone gets divided. The social fabric, that conduction that we have around community is destroyed.
Destroyed.
Yeah.
And everyone is displaced. And at the end, what matters is survive. Now, we knew that we had to rebuild the social fabric. We have to get together. And so we have to find the places where we were going to get together. Now, which places? I came into power. Our project was called Medellin, the most educated. Medellin was the most violent city in the world. What's the opposite? The most educated. That's our challenge, and we put it in there. I come from the education world, the science world. And then we knew that we have to build the places where people can develop their capabilities. And we knew that we had to change the skin of the city because there was blood, there was many terrible acts around that people have seen. So we knew that we have to build those places, and under the principle, the most beautiful for the humblest people. The most beautiful aspects of our society to the humblest people, to show them that there is hope, that the beauty of the architecture is not restricted to the rich people in a society.
And they felt integrated,
Recognized, of course,
respected,
of course, and they were
and they
very
regained
proud.
their dignity.
That
was the goal.
Of course, and that happened. Now, I add something to that. We knew that, and we did it.
Theoretically. But what happened after you started building these public places, libraries, public
We
libraries?
changed communities because,
schools.
in addition to that, we incorporated the community from the very beginning. It was not the usual thing. There comes the politician. I'm going to build a school. Then he goes build the school, and they then invite the community to go to the new school that the mayor built for you. From the very beginning, the community was involved. We developed, we created groups of citizens watching the project, the communities thinking, how should we call this place? What is going to happen in here? We have the Tory budget in the same community. So the people were involved. The ones who were building this were interacting with the people every day. What happens? Who is going to work here? People from the community would work. So when we finish, they felt we finish. It's our place, not the mayor's place that he gave us. We are part of that construction. That's the magic of power for me. That's the magic of transformation because they were part of it.
Yeah.
So when it's finished, it's ours instead of being the mayor's.
Georgia, is there a lesson here for us? It's about changing people's minds, right?
It is indeed. I mean,
In the end.
I wanna just so as a coach, I'm trained to see quotable quotes, okay, and I wanna just put this on the camera now there. Looking at the buildings earlier with Sergio, I've seen. He said something that sticks to my mind. He said, "This is not cement; it's dignity."
That's right.
Okay.
I tell
So
you
this
anecdote.
is really powerful. This is really powerful.
Tell us a story.
Yeah.
Tell us a story.
I'll tell you a beautiful story. I was invited to be one of the members of the La Bienal de Venecia, one of the jurors. I don't remember, 2016.
Okay.
Okay. And we were there. I am not an architect, but my father was an architect, a wonderful human being, an excellent architect was my father. But I grew up around by the side of an architect. He was an extraordinary architect, as I said. He was a professor of architecture. And so I had the architecture in my mind. I'm a mathematician, which is in principle far from mathematics, from architecture. Now, so I was there in Venecia, and there was with people who knew about architecture formally, and for a week, seeing projects and so on. And okay, it was fascinating for me. When we were at the final ceremony,
Yeah.
where the awards were going to be awarded, there comes a guy, I think he was from Nigeria. I was sitting in there. I didn't know who he was. I was saw this Afro man walking towards me, smiling. I didn't know who he was or why he was smiling. And he comes to me, he says, the most beautiful things to the humblest people. There you go. From Nigeria,
This is your
in
legacy.
Venice, this guy that I have never seen in my life, and he just tells me that.
Yes. People don't support what they don't create. So participation to the design and the creation
That's crucial.
is
That's
key.
crucial.
That's the lesson you're looking for.
You have to be part of the transformation. You have to be an actor of your transformation.
Absolutely.
How long did it take to change people's minds here in the city? Transformation cannot occur overnight.
No. Now, my claim, and of course, I'm a politician, and I'm a politician. So I still feel strange when I say that I'm a politician, but I am an alternative politician, a civic politician, whatever. It's my excuse. Now, and when you are around power, of course, you have your enemies, you have all the confrontation. We, the guys who got together, who in January the year 2000, we began walking Medellín, handing out leaflets, telling people that we wanted to get there. The first poll that my name was on was 0%. We didn't inherit the power of a politician. Now we built everything. And I think since the very first moment that people saw us walking around, which it looked very weird, we were standing at the traffic lights, giving people a leaflet and talking to the driver of the bus. And we did that throughout the city. I used to say that I was born privileged in this society, but as a politician, a proletarian, working hard in the sense that we built it. And I think since then, we started changing people's mind in Medellin. They will look at us, they will see us again and again. That's the key. Because you can go out one day and
Only when there are
yeah,
elections.
but they saw us, and I came through this neighborhood 5 times. The first time they said, it's a curiosity, this guy with this hair, with jeans, politician, strange. I was walking around with people from the community, as I mentioned. And then again, and then, well, this is the guy who came here. And after 5 times, they said, I like this guy. But we walk, we persevere, we were disciplined. I think since then we were changing people's mind. In the first election, we didn't win. I finished third, but it was quite a surprise because we didn't buy a vote, we didn't have a political party, and we did it ourselves. The next election, we won by a landslide. So when we got there, people had seen us fighting for it, and we didn't stop. And then, as a mayor, we continue working with the same spirit. What we said that we were going to do, we did it. So we built the key word, trust. Trust. When you see a guy 5 times walking through the same place with respect to everyone, said this guy. Now, we did it, and there was plenty of an effort.
Well, this was at the beginning, but later you become a sort of local hero, right? Your numbers were high, your polls were very, very favorable. How did you keep your feet on the ground? Not to lose
Humbleness.
your
Yeah, and you have to think about it, but I come from another world. I am a mathematician, being a politician. I haven't stopped being a professor. Those persons who choose to be professors, we look at the world in a different way. You can teach a course at the university, but being a professor is a way of life. And I come from mathematics. So, for example, in mathematics, there is no influence, there is no power. I mean, you can be very.
solitude, a lot of
There is
solitude.
plenty of solitude,
Yeah.
and I still love to spend a day alone without talking, thinking. Strange for a politician, very difficult. But so I have values coming from a different world. I wasn't born in politics. I came at 43 years old, I began to do this. I was already a person who was an adult, who had 2 children, who had a university position. So I have a cure about that. Now, of course, when you are acclaimed and all these things, well, you feel different. But I think I have never gone over the board with feeling very important. Then I was the governor of the state, and I have been 3 times for the presidency. And people look at me and say, "This is the old guy. He's not going to win." And here we are fighting for what we stand for.
Georgia, you work with a lot of entrepreneurs, right? And if you were to decompose Sergio's leadership, what elements do you see here?
Well, I can talk a lot about that, but allow me to say this. So first, we had 2 words. This is respect and trust, okay? Respect, these are the 2 conditions for an organization to change. No organization, no society can change without respect and trust. So respect, it's coming from a diversity of styles, a diversity of opinions. Trust is coming when the people think, okay, I can't win this time, but it's going to be a win-win on a long term. So it's not always me who's actually losing. And I think this is what he did. So I can see here, I think he is a well-rounded leader. Well-rounded means he's developed all axes. So there is a lot of integration and integrator in what Sergio did by bringing all the communities together and integrating. And there is a legacy because we've seen that what he left and how he transformed the society uh, survives by itself and develops. So Integrator. We have also the ideas and vision, which is a characteristic of an entrepreneurship. And also we have a producer who caters for needs because he implemented things. I don't know, I mean, you've built so much. That's a producer. And we talked about earlier about budgets and
In
stuff.
only 3 or 4 years.
Entrepreneur. So he's an integrator. He's an entrepreneur. He's an administrator, and he's also a producer.
George, we were talking yesterday about the power of small things that produce big changes. Give us an example of a very small thing you implemented here in Medellin that changed people's lives.
Transparency. Every little thing that we do can be seen. Corrupt people work in the obscurity, behind the black curtain in the theater. We were right in front. Everything could be seen about us.
Big windows, like the one here.
Everyone can see us in every single thing that we did. And that creates trust. I can see him. This is the same guy. And that's crucial. Transparency as a way of doing things. I associated that with pedagogy, explaining people what we are doing, explain to people. Of course, I'm a professor and I have that natural tendency, explain what we were doing. I had a program Thursday nights with the mayor or with the governor. And I would be people that work with me, let's explain why this program that we are doing is here. Who has a question, explain. That generates trust, what they say. I understand this guy. That's crucial. I was going to tell you another story. It comes to my mind talking to 2 Romanians. And it was the following. I remember I was at a debate in one for Mayor of Medellín, the second time. And they said, well, I am a CEO, I am an empresario, and I have done these things. What have you done? Have you generated richness? I said, well, I'm a professor. The only deal that I have made was once that I sold my house. That's the only business. I don't have a business company. My father had, no, I don't. But I said, but I am a social entrepreneur, building this movement, getting people together to walk the street, to hand out leaflets for free, and building that. I am quite an entrepreneur. We are quite entrepreneurs, but different from you. You have been making money. We have been working for society. And then no more discussion.
Incredible.
You should do the wall challenge here.
The challenge.
The challenge. Challenge Sergio with the
Challenge.
Parliament's wall in Bucharest.
Okay. What I asked earlier.
Because we had a little game
before
the
You like that?
Very much.
Okay.
So it's your show.
All right. Thank you. I'll describe again a little bit the situation. So in Bucharest, we have a legacy, which is a very, very big building. I think it's the second after Pentagon, which houses the parliament. Okay. And around this absolutely huge building, there is a lot of green. Okay. Like a park. People from the city have no access there. In between the park and the city, there is a wall. All community around, they want the wall down. They want the wall down because they want to use the park around the parliament. And I think there is something about transparency, as you were saying, and getting closer and so on. So my challenge to you would be, what would you do to bring that wall down? Because the people inside the House of Parliament, the parliamentaries, they don't want the wall down. They want to keep the wall that separates, let's say, the parliament and the lead from the city. The community wants the wall down and they want to keep it. What would you do if you would be the mayor of Bucharest, because the wall does not belong to you as a mayor, it belongs to the parliament building.
But whatever there is public belongs to the citizens, not just to a small group of privileged citizens. We need the parliament, we need the people in there, we need the discussions, democracy acting, that's fine. But we have to understand that the real owners are the citizens. I will tear that wall down, as we did in here. We are at the Botanical Garden of Medellin. This was surrounded by incredible walls. Now we tore those down. Now it's not open just like that, because this is very rich in many senses, but you can see it and it's very easy to come in. So that's not mine. And I would talk to the parliamentary people and said, listen, I would create a civic movement, said, people express why they want to have it, which is not crazy. It's something very reasonable to have a space that belongs to everyone. And I will tell every parliamentary, let's talk about this. Be part of the solution. Be part of the decision of what people want, and you appear in front saying, let's do it. And you give your ideas that you may have about how this park may be, and recognize what is happens. We can build a civic movement against you, or you can be part of the solution, understanding what people want, which is something very reasonable. It's nothing out of the blue, it's nothing extraordinary. But that way of behaving keeps that distance between saying there they are the privileged people, the ones that we pay for because their salary is paid by the citizens, and they don't listen to us. Let's work together. And at the end, we come, citizens, and the parliamentary people say, well, we are going to do this and do it together. That's what I would do. Very crazy.
Okay, Sergio, I was wondering, do you ever calculated how much did it cost, the whole transformation?
No. I know how we saved. We didn't steal a single peso.
So no stealing.
Not stealing.
So rule number one.
Number one, you have a building, and there are these guys, the contractors, whatever, with deals with politicians, they want that contract. And out of the 100 pesos that cost the building, they take 20 for the
In
pockets.
Romania is 10%.
Well, 10, very civilized.
Yeah, we are very civilized corruption.
And then the building would not exist.
Yeah.
So if you don't steal money, you can do many things. Because people tell me, how come this happened in Medellin? I'll tell you another story, the ones that you like. I was once in Davos, Switzerland.
Yeah.
The former director, Mr. Schwab, invited me there. I met him being mayor of Medellin in Geneva, I think. I don't remember it well. And I talked to him and said, why don't you come to Davos next year, being mayor? And I got there. It was beautiful. I loved snow. I got my PhD in mathematics in Wisconsin, in the United States, which is very cold, beautiful. So I was there, and then comes this young journalist, and she was assigned to interview me. Said, you are going to interview the mayor of Medellin? She was thinking, what type of human being she's going to find. So she came with her eyes wide open. And then she saw me. Okay. And then the first question that she asked me, where does the money come from? Because they think this is because the narco traffic, not a single peso of narco traffic of our taxes. We didn't steal a single peso. We have a wonderful public services company, which is state-owned, Medellin-owned, that transferred to us a lot of resources. And we did all these things with our resources. And moreover, for every project that we had, I said, well, we have to build this.
Yeah.
Who can help us build this? This university, bring them. This private foundation bring them. We put together all the groups that could be interested in that, and I lead. We lead. We are the politicians. We got into power to lead society, not just to see what happens around. And then we will bring them together. And this guy say, I put this. I will give you the design to the city. And many things that we did in here were donated by one place or one organization or another.
Yeah, one source of income is people paying taxes.
Sure.
There's a huge layer of informality here.
Yes.
In Romania as well, but here is, I think,
More.
bigger
Yes.
because I've seen a lot of constructions. There are no legal constructions here. How can you bring up people from informality in order to understand that they have to be law-abiding citizens, to pay taxes and so on and so forth?
That's a long process, and we are still discussing in the middle of the presidential campaign. Colombia is 56% of our workforce is informality. How do we do this? You have these micro enterprises. Then you have to work with them, help them to formalize, to make the path easy to understand that being legal in the formal, not legal, formal, it would have a lot of advantages to you. That's one part. It takes time. In Latin America, informality is all over. Mexico, Brazil, Mexico, and Colombia are the biggest country in Latin America. We all have informality. This is a long-term project, education, where we have education for everyone. Every single kid that is born today in Colombia should have an education, quality of education that makes them part of society. So we still have a long way to go, little by little.
What does it mean, quality of education, in your opinion?
That you have a human being that have some abilities to be part of the world. There are abilities, cognitive abilities, the traditional ones, mathematics. You have to read, you have to write, and not only that, you have to have a critical thinking, logical reasoning, and at the same time, today we have to have emotional competencies. So who you are, who am I, how I can learn to control myself, empathy, motivation, and working with other people. If a kid goes through an education that provides those abilities, he or she has a good education.
Being human is a part of education.
Yeah, so the social competencies makes you human and a civic citizen, understanding that you are not alone, that you belong to a community where you have the freedom to build your path, but you are not alone in that path that you share with other people. Those things can be done. I add something else. Some people tell me you shouldn't say that you are a professor, because in these times of polarization, where you divide the world friend or enemy, there is nothing else. The enemy, if you declare someone who is not with you enemy, you are in the language of war. So you have to destroy that enemy. And then you do all what you see these days.
And social media amplifies.
Exactly. You shout, you lie, you do whatever in order to destroy what you have in front. And a professor should never be associated with destruction. We have to get the best out of everyone. So they tell me that I'm weak because I don't shout, because I don't want to destroy you because you think different from me. And in this term, those are the real brave men, strong. They can do whatever. I don't believe in that. And I myself take very serious the role of president or mayor or governor, because every single word that a president speaks is heard from the whole country. How you treat the different ones, how you behave as president is the main educator in our society. And everyone is seeing us. everyone. So we are permanently teaching people how to behave.
Georgia, Medellin didn't have huge resources, yet created bold ideas like, I don't know, the motor cable. There's a lesson for entrepreneurs. Scarcity can produce innovation.
I think it's an absolute condition for this adversity. I mean, imagine a tree. If you'll have a tree without the wind, the tree will have no roots. Okay, so you need wind for the tree to grow high. So most of the time, from adversity, you're getting strength and resources and development and innovation. And I think adversity is all around. It's just the way we look at it. So if we look at adversity that like something that will give us strength, that will help us. It's the same with the conflict. You can have conflict that will propel you adelante, forward, or you can have conflict that will destruct you and go to disintegration. Okay? But I'm coming back. The condition to transfer this conflict into forward, into development, into integration is again respect and trust. So these are the conditions to transform that. So adversity, yes, it's a fuel for innovation.
Sergio, in the end, can you give a piece of advice for the leaders of the world? I don't know, organizations, companies, parties, politicians.
The best advice
Don't steal.
that I
Don't steal.
the best advice that I can give, which is in this world that we are living today, the biggest word in front of us is uncertainty.
Yeah,
We don't know where this thing is going to go.
we feel
We are
it
never
every
going,
day.
Yes.
of course, and we are not going to go back. That's for sure. This is not going to go back to other times that we knew, which is the usual thing. How much better we were before? No, we are going to go forward. I claim that we have to live in a world where it can be humane, that we can respect each other. It sounds strange, sounds old-fashioned. Respect. That beautiful word is not trending these days in our lives. But I would say the key material, the engine in order to have a humane society is trust. And I give you the formula, the one that I have developed. Being coherent, consistent, and transparent. And with that, when you, in a community, you build the trust because that nothing is not given to you, you have to build it, we can change this world. I don't know how it's going to change, and it's fine. I like to see we're going to find different things. Don't be scared, but how we do things so that in spite of all the things that are going to happen to us that we have no idea, we are still a society which is humane. That's all what I have to say.
Guys, let's keep that in mind. George, Sergio, thank you very much.
Florin,
Muchas gracias.
muchas gracias.
Thank you. Muchas gracias.